Venezuela. Let's go to Capitol Hill. Max Cohen is joining us there. He's a Punchbowl News reporter to talk more about this briefing. You scooped, Max Cohen, Punchbowl News did, that this briefing will be happening today. What do you know? How did it come about?
Yeah, I think there is a great desire among members of Congress of these key committees to get more information about what exactly is happening in Venezuela. And there's a lot of clamoring from lawmakers to say what exactly is the United States' role. That was a big impetus, and the White House also recognized they didn't give traditional heads up about this operation to members of Congress, and they said, you know, we have to go to the Hill to explain our actions. But I do have to say, the main thing happening right now is just confusion among these lawmakers about, is the U.S. running Venezuela? Will there be U.S. troops, boots on the ground? And really, what are the next steps with regards to this operation?
Sounds like those will be the questions that are asked at this briefing today. Who will be in the room?
Yeah, so we have top committee leaders from the House and Senate, Armed Services committees, the Foreign Affairs committees, of course, as well as the Gang of Eight, which is the top congressional leaders from both parties who don't serve on these committees, but are privy to this intelligence information. And I do want to also note that there have been similar briefings over the past number of weeks in the latter stages of 2025 about what the United States was doing in the Caribbean with these boat strikes and with regards to Venezuela. And time after time again, Trump administration officials told members of Congress they're not seeking regime change. Obviously, that is exactly what happened just this week. So there's a lack of trust, I think, among many Democrats and the Trump administration, and we expect that to come up during this briefing.
On the Democratic side, what is their leadership saying versus rank and file? How do they want the party to respond to the Trump administration?
Yeah, they're walking an interesting tightrope here. Obviously, Nicolás Maduro, the deposed leader of Venezuela, is not a popular figure, and all of their statements have made great pains to acknowledge that. However, what most Democrats are also saying, and their main message, is Congress should have been consulted. And they do not like that President Trump, as he's done time after time again, is trying to bypass Congress and a lot of his decision making. In addition, there's a lot of skepticism about getting involved in a foreign conflict. We're seeing a lot of Democrats compare this to the invasion of Iraq, of course, to say, are we really going to put U.S. military members at risk for a country which is far away from our own country, and which Democrats allege there's not a significant national security interest into what the United States is doing in Venezuela.
We showed Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday. He also in that interview said there's not a war. We are at war with drug trafficking organizations, not a war against Venezuela. What are some possible steps you could see from members of Congress in response to the actions in Venezuela on the floor? Is there legislation they are teeing up?
Yeah, and Senate Democrats are already taking steps to hold votes this week on whether there is an authorization of use of military force. Democrats are trying to say, look, we cannot be involved in an armed conflict. As you mentioned, the Trump administration is saying this is not a war. Democrats see differently. But what they're trying to do, Democrats, is force a vote in the Senate and say, look, are we involved in conflict? And if we are, the Senate is not going to give its consent to this without being considered. We've seen similar votes happen along these lines with regards to the boat strikes, and they've only attracted a handful of Republican votes. So from our standpoint now, it seems like this will purely be a messaging vote, and we cannot expect some actual policy change from it, given Republicans are largely behind